Hello there. Welcome to this video. Today I'm going to be using this lovely blanket and some relaxing hand movements to create a calming space where we can enjoy some ASMR and talk about some ways to alleviate gender dysphoria. You may have seen my other video on this topic, which I recommend you watch first. This super soft blanket was handmade for a loved one, and they very graciously let me borrow it for this video. We have yarn in white, pink, and blue, making up a trans flag design, trans pride flag design. As we get started, I want you to know that you are welcome here exactly as you are in this moment. All of your feelings, thoughts, and experiences are welcome here. And you do not have to have everything figured out. You definitely don't have to have everything figured out. Though this is a recorded video, I am a real human being on the other side. I'm just speaking from my experience, and I'm really happy to be connecting with you in this way. I wanted to tell you about a new breathing technique I learned, and it goes, basically, you inhale twice and exhale once. I'm going to try it now, and I invite you to join me if you like. So we're going to go once more. Amazing. It's been 2 years since I last made a video on this topic, and I would really like to share some more of my thoughts with you about the ways I've learned to cope with dysphoria. Like the previous video, I will be sharing 3 key points and elaborating on them. For those taking notes, the points will be defining dysphoria for yourself, recalibrating your reference points, and learning from trans history. And without further ado, I will let you know what I mean by all that. the first topic we will be discussing, first topic, is what I'm calling defining dysphoria for yourself. I have found it personally very helpful to reflect on what I want for myself, for my body, and how I want to be seen by others, and compare and contrast that to what I might have absorbed from cis standards or even from other trans people about what dysphoria is supposed to look and feel like. I found that more often than not, these two things do not completely overlap. So, taking a look at that and parsing out what might be what can be very freeing. Of course, it might be impossible to totally parse out because we don't live in a vacuum, and gender, depending on your own beliefs, I personally think it's something that we kind of create in the world and less of an essence within us. However, my hope is that reflecting on all of this might free you of some of those negative thoughts about yourself. Because what you want, regardless of what it means, is really the most important thing. Focusing on what makes you feel good right now and what changes you may feel genuinely drawn to make or not make can sometimes help you release the rest. And at the end of the day, I like to remind myself that dysphoria, as we know it, is a medical framework designed primarily by medical professionals. And it can, don't get me wrong, be very helpful to describe some of the pain and distress, frustration we may go through as trans or gender non-conforming, questioning people. But it doesn't have to be the framework through which you see yourself. I think that journaling or talking to a friend could be a really helpful way to reflect on this topic, or even just keeping your eye out for these thoughts that come up and taking a pause and thinking, what do I think about that thought? And how does it make me feel? And where do I think it came from? The next point is what I like to call recalibrating your reference points. And this one is really about finding beauty in other trans people and letting that love reflect back on yourself. If you are blessed to have other trans people in your life, this could mean simply hanging out and developing relationships of all kinds. Because I think when you spend time with other trans people and share your life with each other, your sense of self can become a lot stronger, at least in my experience. And it's a beautiful feeling to not have to explain yourself so much and not have to justify your humanity. And it makes me smile to think about this. You can't see, but when you can appreciate like how a t-shirt fits on someone's body that looks like yours, or how beautifully their hair flows, or how safe the sound of their voice makes you feel. You can have that beauty reflected back to you in a way that maybe before you didn't appreciate. I think trans beauty is so expansive and nuanced and magical. And of course, I'm not just talking about physical appearance here, but cis beauty standards are so limiting and frankly pretty boring. Anyway, like I said, this one, recalibrating your reference points, can be a lot of fun because it truly can be done just hanging out. Of course, right now, spending time with each other is not always possible in person. So, you know this already now, but staying in touch digitally, or perhaps consuming media about and by trans people, can be another way to do this. As long as you promise me you're careful not to compare yourself in a negative way. This is about appreciating yourself and other people and the abundance of all of our beauty, not about putting yourself down. I'm reminding you, and I'm reminding myself as well, because I make the videos I need to. So that is point 2. Our third, 1, 2, 3, third and final point or topic or theme is to learn from history. Looking to the past to see how people who today we might call trans have experienced and found happiness, I think can really inspire and help us today. People who have crossed gender lines and gone against the social norm have been recorded in nearly every part of the world since people have existed. And of course, there was a time before the gender binary as we know it was created and enforced around the world by colonialism. You may already be very aware of this, but my point is that if we think about it, the majority of people who we look to from the past, who we might label as gender nonconforming or trans, even though it's, difficult to apply these labels looking back because it's a different context. Many of these folks existed before the creation of modern medical transition technologies and the language we have today, and perhaps the community we have today. People experienced love, connection, satisfaction, and what we might call gender euphoria, even in periods of time when hormone therapy, gender affirming surgery, and even certain styles of clothing hadn't even been invented yet, or when it was extremely dangerous or difficult for them to pursue these things. They existed before there was language to describe them, and they invented new words and took care of one another. They got creative with fashion and the way they carried themselves. They found ways to create themselves and be who they were, with far fewer options in terms of technology and tools, and in societies where they perhaps were not able to find many people like them, or where people like them were persecuted or criminalized. And there's sort of a couple things we can glean from this depending on your experience, Perhaps this is really similar to how you are doing right now. Perhaps you don't have access to medical transition for financial or safety reasons, or maybe you don't have the language to describe how you feel and who you are. And maybe that's not your experience, but either way, it doesn't make you any less trans. I actually think it makes you even more connected to the vast majority of trans people in history who had that experience too. Not to mention everyone who's going through that same thing with you right now. So when you're able to express yourself, even if it's just for yourself, which is perhaps the most important, you aren't just doing it for you. You are doing it for all of us who have ever been and who will be. Thank you so much for being here with me, for giving me a moment of your time to think about how to give yourself more love. While you're here, I would love to know in the comment section something that you need to hear right now. This could be an affirmation, a reminder, or a compliment. So I invite you to take a moment to pause, just let something come to you. also had an idea. I see so many lovely supportive comments on my videos, and they inspire me so much. And by supportive, I mean like for each other, like for other people watching, and for yourself. And of course, I so appreciate the ones that are supportive of me. Anyway, so I thought I would ask you all to help me make something collaboratively. So if you would be comfortable with me using your comment on this video, that little reminder or affirmation for yourself in a crowdsourced affirmations video, please comment and let me know it's okay to use it, and sign it with your first name or a nickname so I can credit you. The intention of this is to make like an affirmations video by and for trans people, hence why I'm asking on this video. But all are welcome to contribute, no questions asked. Alright, all that being said, please take care. As always, I see you, I love you,